Humanity, we call ourselves the superior species, the intelligent ones, the compassionate ones. But tell me, what kind of species discards a mother after she has given everything? We were entrusted with his creations, not to exploit, not to abandon, but to protect. And yet, here she is, a mother, a soul, a life, left to suffer in silence, waiting for death in a cold cage while her puppies are taken from her, separated, forgotten, discarded like trash. Look at her, look into her eyes. What do you see? Fear, confusion, heartbreak? This is not an isolated case. This is not a tragic accident. This is the routine destruction of life in America's shelters. Is this what God asked of us? Is this what He meant when He gave us dominion over the animals? To betray them? To throw them away when they are no longer convenient? Every day, thousands of animals just like her are left to die. Not because they are dangerous, not because they are sick, but because our world has decided they are worthless. The Bible tells us, the righteous care for the needs of their animals, but the kindest acts of the wicked are cruel. So what does that make us? The righteous care for the needs of their animals means that good moral people show kindness and compassion to animals. They recognize that animals are not objects but living beings who deserve care, love, and respect. A righteous person does not turn a blind eye to suffering but instead takes action to prevent and relieve it. But the kindest acts of the wicked are cruel is a warning. It means that even when a wicked person believes they are doing something good, their actions are still rooted in selfishness or neglect. For example, someone may claim to care about animals but still abandon their pet when it becomes inconvenient, or they may say they love animals but support industries that exploit and abuse them. This verse tells us that kindness isn't just about words or small gestures, it's about consistent, meaningful actions. So what does this verse say to us? It asks us to look at our actions, not just our intentions. Do we truly care for animals in a way that reflects righteousness, or do we contribute, knowingly or unknowingly, to their suffering? It is a call to responsibility. If we claim to be good, we must prove it through how we treat the most vulnerable among us. Every single day, thousands of dogs just like her are betrayed by the very people they once trusted. Used, abused, dumped, and then sentenced to death, not for any crime, but because we, as a society, have decided their lives have no value. This mother dog was taken in by a shelter, her crime, existing, her sentence, death, and her puppies, ripped away from her, placed in a foster home while she was left behind to die alone. This is not just her story, this is the story of countless mothers before her and countless mothers after her, and you know the worst part? Prevention and action are crucial. We have the power to change these heartbreaking outcomes. By spaying and neutering our pets, supporting local shelters, and advocating for humane treatment, we can make a difference. Every small step counts. Together, we can prevent these tragedies from happening. This could have been prevented. This dog, and countless others just like her, didn't have to end up here, alone, abandoned, and sentenced to die. This could have been prevented. If local governments would pass stronger animal welfare laws instead of treating animal abuse as an afterthought, dogs like her wouldn't be discarded like trash. If law enforcement actually enforced those laws instead of ignoring complaints or making excuses, abusers wouldn't get away with it. If the courts handed down real punishment instead of slaps on the wrist, maybe people would think twice before neglecting, torturing, or abandoning an animal. But let's be honest, it's not just the system that's failing. It's us, our communities, our neighbors, the people who turn a blind eye when they see a starving dog chained in a backyard, the ones who hear the cries of an abused pet but do nothing. The shelters overflowing because people treat animals as disposable. We are all responsible. And yet we act surprised when stories like this happen. Why? This isn't an accident. It's not an isolated case. This is a reflection of a society that refuses to take animal suffering seriously. So I ask you, how much more will it take? How many more innocent lives must be lost before we step up? If we don't demand change, if we don't fight for stronger laws, better enforcement and real consequences for abusers, then we are just as guilty. Because the truth is, this could have been prevented, and until we start caring, it will keep happening. 56% of dogs in shelters never make it out alive. Thousands of healthy, loving animals killed every day. Not because they are dangerous, not because they are sick, but because there is no space, no funding, no chance. Yet we allow backyard breeders to flood the streets with puppies, profit off their suffering, and discard the mothers like garbage. We turn a blind eye to puppy mills, to abuse, to neglect, until it's too late. Until all we have left is a scared, broken soul sitting in a cold kennel waiting for the needle. Taking action is not just a choice, it's a responsibility. Each one of us has the power to make a difference. By supporting ethical breeders, adopting from shelters, and advocating for stronger animal welfare laws, we can change the lives of countless animals. It's time to step up, speak out, and be the voice for those who cannot speak for themselves. But it doesn't have to be this way. You have the power to stop this. You can adopt instead of shop. You can foster a shelter pet instead of letting them die alone. You can donate, volunteer, share their stories. Because sometimes all it takes to save a life is one person who cares enough to act. This mother deserved better, they all do, but what are we going to do about it? We call ourselves God's children, we read His word, we pray for His mercy. But tell me, do we deserve it? We were entrusted with His creations, not to exploit, not to abandon, but to protect. It's time we let the powers that be know that this action of killing innocent animals can no longer be tolerated. And for those who continue to let this happen, it is on their soul who will answer for their inaction. Pawsitive personals.